As many of you know, I pre-order most of my new comics from M&M Comics 2 to 3 months in advance. Well, it's that time of month again. The shipment came in. So let's open up this box and find out what I pre-ordered. Hey there, comic book fans. It's Rusty again with Collector Auctions. And as I said at the beginning, my monthly order of comics came in from M&M Comics. These are books that I pre-order 2 to 3 months in advance. They're all new comics. And as you can see by the size of this box, it is a massive new order for this month. I suspect that a lot of these are some of the books that I missed pre-ordering a few months ago, and I was able to pick up in the next month's order. That's what this has got to be, because this is a huge order. I have not had this many new comics come in on a pre-order like this in ages. So what I'm going to do is we're going to find the knife, we're going to open this up, and I'm probably going to bag and board everything in here first, just so when I put them up here in the stand, they'll be protected. I don't want to cause any damage to them at all. But before I do that, definitely hit that like, slap the subscribe, and click on that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on any of the episodes that I put out each and every week, Mondays and Fridays at 3 p.m. and pop-up shows on Wednesdays. So guys, give me a second and I will find the knife.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
All right, everybody, I found the knife. I'm going to open this up on camera so you guys can see how M&M packages up their comics. Generally, they are very safe. In all the years, I think I'm up to about 24 years of using M&M as my monthly new comic source. I have only had one issue with one order in all those years, and they compensated me for that. So all good on that. They have been very good. Generally, the comics are in great shape, but I want you guys to see how they package them. And in this, I'm curious, this is a huge package. So my guess is it's going to be really well done in here, but let's open it up and find out. So we got the knife. Let me start cutting into this right here. All right, so open up the top here. I'll show you the inside. It is packaged with lots of paper around that. There is my list of all the comics that came in this month. We'll take out the paper. And this is what we have inside. We have a Gemini-like, really thick Gemini-type mailer right here. And as you can see, that's pretty thick. I've never seen one quite this thick. That's about 2 inches thick right there. But wait, that's not just one. There are two of those in here. So let's go ahead and open up one of these, and I'll show you how they are bagged inside of this as well. So hang on, I want to fast forward through a little bit of this as well. And I want to stop right there part way through so you can see how it is in there. We've got lots of tape, guys. They do put the comics in a big type of bag, so it is protected from all of this masking tape. But let me go ahead and finish opening up this last one right here. All right, here we go. So here is the giant bag of comics out of one of those right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go off camera right now. I'm going to open this up. I'm going to bag and board every one of these comics and put them in the right order so I can present them to you. So stay tuned, and I will be back in probably a little bit because it will take me a little while to bag and board every one of these. So stay tuned, and I'll be right back.
One eternity later.
All right, everybody, I had a chance to bag and board all of the new comic books that I picked up this month. The only thing that I didn't bag and board was the very first thing I'm going to show right here that comes with my order every month, and that is the Marvel Free Previews book. And this right here is really thick, and I do save these. I'm not always the best about saving them, but I do try to save most of these. I bag and board these too, but I definitely need to get a Silver Age bag and board rather than just a modern, because this thing is super thick. I mean, look how thick that book is. It is a 1/4 inch thick of the new comics that'll be coming out from Marvel in 2 to 3 months. And these come into these orders, and luckily I get the shipment in right before I get ready to place the order for 2 to 3 months. So it gives me a chance to look through this real quick. I don't have a lot of time, but it gives me a chance to look through there and hopefully be able to pick up know what I'm going to order, as well as have some of the variant covers in there as well. And if I don't have this in time, I will go online with M&M Comics, who I order everything from, and I will look at all the titles, but because you have to click on each one individually, that leads to me missing some things all the time. But luckily, I live so close to so many LCSs, including Third Eye Comics in Annapolis, Maryland, that I can go on New Comic Book Day and pick up anything that I missed. So besides this, we also have the DC Connect magazine, which is also the previews for DC Comics. They included in here, From the Ashes, A New Beginning. It's a preview of the other new X-Men books. In fact, I believe it's all the X-Men books that are coming out with the From the Ashes storyline. And at this point, the new X-Men book that you see right here has already come out. So I've already had a chance to get that. I don't think any of the other titles by this point have come out yet. So I'll take a look through there as well and see if there's any of the titles I want to pick up. I don't know how well their new beginnings are going to be on this, because the X-Men book, in fact, I had dropped every one of my X-Men books leading up to this. For the most part, there's a few exceptions here and there, mostly because of covers mostly. But I had not been enjoying any of the new X-Men books because the storylines just fell apart after Jonathan Kirkman had departed the title, and everything just seemed to go downhill from that point. But that's why X-Men were relaunched, to give it new life again. We'll see how long this lasts this time. Also, M&M gave me some other free things. Their Marvel must-haves preview booklet. I think I might have gotten this last month as well. It seems familiar. And this is getting pretty thick up here, so let's put those down. Also, they have these left over, Free Comic Book Day Blood Hunt #1. And then I had a pack of comics that are all in a individual bag, and I looked at this and I'm going, oh, I didn't pre-order this. I didn't mark that I was going to get it free, but they gave me a free copy of Ghost Machine #1. This is a kind of a previews to the Jeff Johns universe with Ghost Machine, some of the titles right there. In fact, this is the book right here that I have signed by a bunch of the Ghost Machine artists and creators: Jeff Johns, Brian Hitch, Jason Fabik, Brad Anderson, Peter Tomasi. I don't know, I may have a couple others on there, but that's pretty cool to get that for free. I also have Barbaric #1. This is Born in Blood. Now, when Barbaric came out a couple years ago, I was actually picking up his title. I thought the art was really cool. It seemed like a pretty cool concept, but I had not carried on with that title after so long. But free book right there. And then we've got from Valiant, Ninjax #1. I'm assuming that this is a sketch. The sketch cover is not colored, obviously, so not bad getting 3 free comic books right there. All right, so I'm gonna put these down, and then let's move into the other books. I did separate everything so we can go by Marvel, DC, Independence, and other, as I say. So let's just start with Marvel, because it is the biggest pile of books I get. I am primarily a Marvel Comics guy, although there are certain titles that I will pick up on occasion with DC. I'm still getting Batman, even though I said I was going to drop it, but I've still continued with that. And when they do relaunches with other things and new concepts like this Absolute Power they're starting, that's something that I will pick up occasionally. And there's always a facsimile or a #1 that I may pick up. But we'll get into DC in a second. So let's start with Marvel, and we'll pick up right where we talked about here, the new X-Men title. Now, as I said, I'd already picked this up at the LCS, so I'd picked up cover A. So this was that one I had pre-ordered. And I also picked these 2 covers up. I pre-ordered, but I also picked them up because they're spectacular. We've got the Virgin Magic cover right there. I do not know the artist, but this is really spectacular. This was just an open order cover. It wasn't a ratio or anything, and that's a really nice cover right there. And of course, I had to pick up Psylocke by J. Scott Campbell. And this is a very nice cover right there. So those I actually already had. I already picked all those up from the LCS, but I had pre-ordered them, mostly because these covers are just fantastic. Spider-Man, we've got issues number 52. We've got the Spider-Goblin storyline going on here, and 53 continues. Title, the covers are all very similar. I didn't even realize that. So I picked those up. I had not noticed that at the LCS that they were similar, but I picked them up at different new comic book weeks. I did get some variant covers on some of those at the LCS as well. Let's see, we've got Avengers number 15. That's continuing with the Blood Hunt storyline, and 16 as well. You can see they've got Baron Blood as the villain in both of these titles. And speaking of Blood Hunt, we've got issues number 3 and number 4. Now, I had not pre-ordered the more mature version of these. I really didn't jump on the bandwagon. I was, I think, a little intimidated about how many titles they were incorporating into the storyline. And I think there were over 60 different issues that were going to be coming out that had this entire Blood Hunt storyline, and I'm going, it's too much. I did pick up several number ones. I've got the regular series going on here, but I have not jumped in too much on that. Now, I did pick up the red line versions of issues 1 and 2 from my LCS, where it's bagged. It's a more mature content. You see a little bit more blood, I guess, death and destruction, I guess. I honestly, I haven't even opened them. And the one thing I did not jump on the bandwagon with was some of the high ratios where they were doing homages to the EC comics. There were some really cool covers, but I did not jump in on that bandwagon at all. So that's what we got for Bloodline. I did pick up an issue right here of Immortal Thor number 12, and I'll be honest with you, there's something about that Alex Ross cover I really liked. I'm not following the storyline. I'd actually dropped the title. Even though all the covers are Alex Ross, not every one of them spoke to me, but this one I kind of really liked. I'm continuing with Spectacular Spider-Man. You've got Ramos doing the artwork on Spider-Man there, and that's pretty cool. That's good enough for me on that. And continue with Spider-Man. We've got Spider-Man, Shadow of the Green Goblin, number 3. This is a book that was not on my radar when it came out with an issue number 1 until I was at my LCS. And I picked it up and I realized that it was, it's J.M. Is it J.M. DeMatteis? I'm sorry, I always mispronounce that. The old Spider-Man writer, of course, of Justice League as well. But the writer of the Kraven's Last Hunt is doing this storyline. So I'm picking up solely for the writer on this in particular storyline. I said I had dropped all of the X-Men titles, but I picked them up occasionally because there's something special about them. So the new Wolverine Blood Hunt storyline, I don't care about the storyline. But what I do like is you've got Ben Harvey covers on there, and I picked that up completely because it's a Ben Harvey piece of artwork. Continuing with Blood Hunt again, we've got Strange Academy number 2. And X-Men 97, I think this was a regular cover, issue number 4. You picked that up. How did you guys like the animated series? I really enjoyed that. It took me by surprise. I think it took a lot of people by surprise, but that ended up being a really good animated show. I mean, it's not my favorite animation style, but it was really good. The stories were really good, and they were tight, told a pretty good story. I can't believe they told, in the number of episodes, they actually told a lot of story right there. Continuing with Marvel, I'm continuing with Ultimate Spider-Man number 6 right here. You've got Tichetto on art on this, which he had stopped on a couple issues right there, but this right here is art in there is spectacular. This is really the only title that I'm actually enjoying right now on Ultimates, even though I'm continuing to pick up Ultimate X-Men number 4. Ultimate Black Panther number 5, and Ultimates number 2. And I'm going to say that when I get ready to do my pre-order, I'm probably going to drop all of these except for Spider-Man. I am not enjoying anything with any of the Ultimate titles other than the Ultimate Spider-Man. That right there should have been maybe the only title, because I haven't seen enough on the other titles to, at this point, to justify even reading the storyline. Now, the other theme and what's left with Marvel right here is I had pre-ordered a bunch of Scotty Young covers that had been coming out over the previous month, and I watched as the covers came into New Comic Book Day at the LCS. Well, I resisted the urge to pick up most of those, except for a couple that I really wanted, the Spider-Man and the Wolverine one. But I didn't want every cover, but I did pre-order some of the ones I kind of wanted, including Daredevil number 11, Black Widow and Hawkeye number 4. Here, I'm going to set these down for a sec. Got Captain America number 10. I might have already picked this one up, I'm not sure. Scarlet Witch number 1. We've got Miles Morales Spider-Man number 21. Avengers 15. We've got the Black Panther. And the last one I picked up was Fantastic Four number 21 with Ben Grimm right there, the Thing, who is always one of my favorite characters. In fact, I kind of picked up favorite characters for the most part. Black Widow, Ben Grimm. Those are two of my favorite characters. Like I said, I already picked up Wolverine and Spider-Man. So definitely it was about the characters, because Scotty Young did a lot of covers. I did not pick up every title. All right, so that takes us to, let's go over to DC. And as I said before, I am continuing picking up the Batman. This is issue number 149. And I did pick up the first issue of Batman Gotham by Gaslight, the Kryptonian Age. Now, this picks up from the Elseworlds. It is Elseworlds, but it picks up from the one-shot that came out many years ago, and we'll talk about that again in just a moment. Absolute Power started coming out, and we've got Ground Zero number 1. I believe this was the previews issue, or not a preview, but it's the beginning of the whole storyline, Ground Zero. And I do have issue number 1 of Absolute Power. And then the last DC book, I should have done this already, but we've got Absolute Power number, I'm sorry, this is Batman 150, and it is a tie-in, of course, to Absolute Power. This book right here, there's a variant that I had already picked up. I think it was the Jose Luis Garcia Lopez cover. I picked that up on my road trip a while back at one of the LCSs down in Virginia. I think that's where I picked up that cover. They've got a character, what would you call it? A profile. There's different covers of some of the big DC characters that Jose Luis Garcia Lopez has been doing. And I think issue 150 was that for that Batman. So that was the one I picked up for there. But this is the regular cover I picked up right there. All right. That's it for DC. Very limited what I get from them these days, right? All right. Before we go to independents, let's go over to another subcategory, and that would be facsimiles. And you guys know I love my facsimiles, and I'll talk about these and what I'm going to do with some of them continuing forward. We've got the Deadpool movie coming out. By the time this video comes out, the movie will have already come out. But when I put this pre-order in, it was a couple months before the movie was coming out, and I did order the facsimile to Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe and Deadpool number 1 from 1997. There's a facsimile of that, of course. And this one we talked about. I said I'd come back to it from DC. It is a facsimile of Gotham by Gaslight, the one-shot. And this right here was by Mike Mignola. Some fantastic artwork. It's interesting. They actually did a facsimile where they actually went and did a square bound book. It was a square bound book to begin with, and they did a facsimile with a square bound. I don't know if they've done that before. So that was kind of interesting. Let's put these down. Now, I said that I might not, I come back to some of these facsimiles and what I'm going to do with them in the future. This right here is Crisis on Infinite Earths number 3. Great George Perez, Marv Wolfman storyline. But I've since stopped buying the Crisis books because it's kind of pointless. You can go and buy the original for probably less than what you can pay for this facsimile. I really didn't need to get this. This is one of those, there's times when there's facsimiles I just don't need to get. And DC in this case, and Marvel, and I'll show you one of Marvel here in a second, I don't know why they're doing facsimiles of certain books. There are key books that they should do, but there's ones that's where they don't really need to do this. Now, DC is doing the whole Crisis storyline, so you know I'll be picking up the Death of Supergirl and the Flash issues especially, but I may not get the other ones as a facsimile. But I mentioned Marvel, and this is a perfect example. Issue 257, the second appearance of the Puma. There's no reason to do a facsimile of this book here. You already did a facsimile of the issue prior. It's the first appearance, fine, if that's what you want to do. Personally, I don't know why you would do a facsimile of that anyway. It's not big enough. There's plenty of other keys that you could do. So I'm going to start becoming more selective on the facsimiles that I pick up. And that goes for this as well. Marvel's doing all the issues for Marvel Secret Wars. I have picked them up to this point, and I'm realizing I don't need this. You can buy these issues, the original issues, still for good prices. You don't need to get a facsimile of this. Of course, I did pre-order issue number 8. That's the big key, of course. So that will come into probably next month's video at this point. And then the last one I did pick up was this. It was Godzilla number 1. And it was a book that I had issue number 2 and a bunch of issues of that story back in the day when I was a kid. I never had issue number 1. Now, about a couple of years ago, when I was starting to buy slabs, and I was buying a lot of slab books from Heritage Auctions, a lot, to be honest. I'm not sure if that's where I got it, but I've got a 9.4 CGC graded number 1 that I have on my PC. And that's great and everything, but I still had never read this story. So when they had a facsimile come out of that, I definitely was picking it up because I actually want to read this right here. So I already had a chance. Give me a little insight, guys. When I get all my new comics in, I bag and board everything almost immediately. I mean, I pull them out, bag and board everything, but there always are a couple issues that I just stop everything I'm doing and read. One of them I'll come to in a few minutes, but this one right here, I actually stopped and read the story real quick so I could see what it was like. I kind of wanted to see it and everything, and it looked as good as I remember issues number 2 and some of the other issues being. So that was pretty cool. But that is it for the facsimiles. And that leaves us with all of the, well, I take it back. I was going to say all the independents, but technically it's actually Marvel. We're going to go back to Marvel real quick, but it is another subgenre. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice again, guys. But this right here, I picked up a bunch of these at my LCS. It was a big week that week for that. I spotlighted, it was a hot book of the week when I did this video. But I finally got my copies that I pre-ordered for Uncle Scrooge and the Infinity Dime. And even though I picked this up at the LCS, you can't go wrong with Alex Ross covers. So good, I had to pick up 2 of those. This is one that I may get signed at some point if he does another signing with CGC. I don't know. We'll see about that. There are a lot of great, fantastic books that Alex Ross has touched. I don't know if this is going to make it to the top, except for the fact that Uncle Scrooge is one of my top 10 favorite comic book characters of all time. So I might have to do that. We do have the John Romita Jr. Scott Hanna one right here. It's not too shabby. It's very much like what he's done with some of the Spider-Man issues recently. We go back to Scotty Young for a second. We got the Scotty Young version right there. All right, let's set these down. We've got the Ron Lim one right here. Be honest with you, I could not tell you that that was Ron Lim. This just looks like general art. It doesn't scream Ron Lim. In fact, one of the issues that came out was done by Walt Simonson, and it was there at my LCS. It was a ratio, but it wasn't that expensive, and I didn't pick it up because it was one of the most non-Walt Simonson covers I've ever seen. It did not say it did not look like his artwork at all. So I did not pick that up. I did pick up the Peach Momoko cover right there. Not the biggest fan of that at all. That's definitely something I would not send in to another Peach Momoko signing. We've got this one here, and for the life of me, I cannot remember who did this one. Don't know. I have to look it up. If I remember when I do the editing of the video, I'll put the name up here at the top. But I like that cover an awful lot. And I did pick up the Frank Miller cover here as well. I thought that was a pretty cool Frank Miller. A lot of people have been poo-pooing on his artwork on these covers recently of a lot of the Marvel characters. This one does not. It's not bad. I'll tell you, it's not bad. It's not like those Wolverine ones that he's been doing that people are just like aghast to how awful it really looks. This actually looks pretty good to me. But those were all the Uncle Scrooge books that I picked up. And then that leaves us with the final bit here. It's the Independents. And what did I say was there's a couple books that I stopped at and just stopped everything. No bagging, no boarding, no moving forward until I read the book. And this is the same with me for every month. The book that I read before I read anything else, it's always Asagi Yojimbo. Stan Sakai continues to crush this character in these books. The art's fantastic. I will stop every time to read this before I do anything else. Now, I think that I'm not sure, but this had a variant. I'm not sure if this is the one that had a David Peterson cover on there. I may have picked that up at the LCS. I'm not sure, to be quite honest about that, but this is the regular cover, and I know when it came out on New Comic Book Day, I made a point not to pick that up because I knew that this was coming in this order. I'm continuing buying just the regular cover A for Something Killing the Children. I'm still enjoying this, but these days I enjoy reading the comic, not worrying about values and worrying about variants or anything. And last, it's the books from the Ghost Machine universe. We've got Geiger #3. This artwork is just spectacular. Gary Frank is just absolutely killing the artwork on here. I kind of wish he'd go back to Marvel and do on a title that I really enjoy. I do not enjoy the Geiger character. I don't enjoy this part of the universe. There's something about it that I'm just not enjoying, but the artwork is so good. As well as Rook Exodus. This is Jason Fabok on here, and this has been really just a fascinating title. This is very inventive, the story in this, so I'm enjoying that. And as well as I am on Redcoat with Brian Hitch artwork, and I think Jeff Johns is writing all of this and just absolutely crushing this. I contemplated dropping these, but I think the artwork alone is going to continue making me continue to buy these. Although I did drop them for the next pre-order when I put that in, so I'm going to have to pick these up at least issue 4s on these when it comes to the LCS. But guys, that is it. That's everything that I pre-ordered 2 to 3 months ago. Well, let me clarify. It was everything that I pre-ordered 2 to 3 months ago, but it also included the ones from the prior month before I put that pre-order in that I failed to pre-order. I completely missed putting in an order. And I had to spend a month and a half going to my LCS and picking up a lot of those that I couldn't still pre-order. Because what happened was M&M Comics on the next month, when I remembered to put the order in, they actually resolicited a lot of these books. So that's why this order is massive this time. It was a lot of the books that I failed to pre-order the first time, but then the next month later, I was able to resolicit those, order and get those in here. So that's kind of why this order is so big. After this, these orders will go back down to a normal size, probably half the size, to be honest with you. But big order, being able to pre-order these things, guys, saves a lot of money. For me, it's always at least 35% on most of these, and sometimes in some cases it will go up to 50% basically, but not on a lot of them. And most of them will be 35%, and then it'll be 40, 45, and sometimes 50%. So it does save a lot of money. Comics are really expensive, but I'm not telling you anything you guys don't already know. So that is it for today, guys. Thank you for joining me. Definitely leave me a comment in the comment section. Let me know what books you're picking up. What are your favorite titles that you're picking up each month? And how do you get your books? Are you going to your LCS, or do you use a subscription service like I do for the bulk of my new comics? Definitely let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, I'm out of here. You have a great day. And remember, every comic has a story.